All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of our current franchise sales and marketing trends. My name is Tom Dufour. I'm the founder and CEO of Big Sky Franchise Team, and I'd like to welcome you to our franchise sales and marketing trends for the month of December 2023. If you're new to us, this session is designed to cover a wide array and of information related to economic conditions, whether that be there will be some broad macroeconomic conditions all the way down to small business and franchise data and information. And we're going to talk about how this information might be impacting your franchise sales and marketing. It very well may be doing so. And likely, especially some of the macro information, if it's not prevalent or showing itself directly in some of the franchise candidates you're talking to, very often I found it's on the minds of these franchisees that are coming into, or prospective franchisees that are coming into your system here. So what I will do is share my screen and we'll go through this. We'll go through this quickly. And by the way, just a couple quick housekeeping items. Please subscribe to our podcast, Multiply Your Success. We're 180 plus episodes into that, 3.5 years. We have some awesome guests. This week is the president of Mosquito Shield, who talks about running a seasonal franchise with almost 400 franchisees in that network. And then please also subscribe to the Franchise Your Business podcast, where we republish these webinars and provide other information. And lastly, we will have this information available for you, posted and published on our YouTube channel, most likely next week. Sometime that will get released. Also, this is our final webinar before the Christmas holiday and New Year. So just want to wish all of you Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you all for being here with us as we are wrapping up 2023. And this is our final episode of the fall season, as next week we officially enter into winter. So with that, I will share my screen and get this show on the road. Here we go. Okay, so where did it go? There it is. Okay. So here is the Purchasing Managers Index that we like to show. This is from the Institute for Supply Management. They do 3 reports on business data, and they survey purchasing managers to say, are you buying stuff or not? And what do those results say? And so what the report says in the first paragraph here, it says the U.S. manufacturing sector contracted in November as the manufacturing PMI registered 46.7%, the same figure recorded in October. This is the 13th month of contraction. All of the 5 sub-indexes that directly factor into the manufacturing PMI are in contraction territory, up from 4 in October. Of the biggest manufacturing industries, 2, food, beverage, and tobacco products and transportation equipment, registered growth in November. So that's nice to see that food, beverage, tobacco, and transportation are growing as industries. But basically, as you can see here, the economy break-even line is 48.7. We're at 46.7, so it's 2 points under that. And the manufacturing break-even is 50%. So what this means is we're just slightly under that break-even line, which, as you're probably sensing, and you very well may, as just even a general consumer, feel that things are maybe a little tight or tense, or there's a little there's a little tensity, I guess is the right word. Attention is the right word. That's the word I'm looking for. Little tension that exists out there. And the manufacturing PMI is a good indicator. It's a leading indicator to show what's going on. So kind of this softening of the economy that you may have heard, this report kind of helps validate that. So if your franchise prospects are talking about this, just know that this exists, and this might be some information to help share with them so that they can see what's going on. The second report here that's put together by the Report Institute for Supply Management is the Services Purchasing Manager Index. And it shows in November, the services PMI registered 52.7%, a 0.9 percentage point increase to the October reading of 51.8%. A reading above, just note that a reading above 50% indicates that the economy is generally growing or expanding. So you can see here it's about 2.7. It's 2.7 points above that break-even line. So we have the services, which is just a little bit above, and then we have the manufacturing that's just a little bit below. So just some things for you to see there that, well, we've got one showing a little above, one showing a little below. So again, that tension that we were just talking about that might exist. So services, which most of our economy is a service-driven economy, you will see that this it's just over break even. And if your franchise system is in the services industry, what you might very well find is that you might find that your industry or specific business might be expanding, as this is indicating here. And then the final Purchasing Manager Index report is for the hospital PMI from the Institute for Supply Management. And what they indicate is that they say, you can see here on this chart, if you're just listening in, we're looking at the chart, and for 2023, it's been a bit of a zigzag, but it's zigzagging up pretty dramatically. In the second paragraph, it says the hospital PMI registered 59.8% in November, the 7.7 percentage point increase from the October reading of 52.1%, indicating a third consecutive month of growth after a contraction in August. The business activity index expanded for the third month. New orders index remained in expansion for the third month, and employment index returned to expansion territory. So basically what you can see here is that the hospital sector and segment is expanding. To me, I kind of look at that and think, well, we're in the fall season, and I know I had some cold virus that kind of ran through me and a few weeks ago. And so just seeing sniffly noses and kids out of school, seeing in my kids' classrooms, just some kids out for illness. So, it's kind of that time of season, right? With the fall season and going into winter here. So, but we see that's way up. It's the highest reading of all of 2023, and it hasn't been this high since it looks like back in about February or so of January or February of 2022. So it's coming up almost on 2 years since the reading has been this high. Okay, now let's take a look at the unemployment rate. Okay, the unemployment rate in the U.S., this is from tradingeconomics.com, and they share the U.S. unemployment rate. And it says the unemployment rate in the United States fell to 3.7% in November of 2023, in November of 2023 from 3.9% in the previous month, the lowest since July, and firmly under market expectations that it would remain unchanged at 3.9%. The result marked a slight backtrack from the near 2-year high recorded in October, pushing back against recent trends of a slowing labor market in the United States. The number of unemployed individuals fell by 215,000 to 6.291 million, while the count of employed individuals jumped by 757,000 to 161.969 million. The decline in the unemployment rate prevailed despite an increase in the labor force, which is great to see a 0.1 percentage point increase to the labor force, while the unemployment rate rose by 0.3 percentage points to 60.5%. So we'll just take a look at this chart here. You can kind of see it's kind of been up and down at ranging from 3.4 to 3.9% for the unemployment rate. So from our high over the last 12 months, it's dipped back down to 3.7%. So all things considered, it just reinforces, in my opinion, tight labor market. So with your franchisees, this is something that you just want to talk to them about. And one thing to let them know is it might take a little time to find some great staff or great employees. And in doing so, it would be in their best interest to start your franchise and get started sooner rather than later, as the opportunities with candidates hopefully will be there. Now, we're talking here and taking a look at the inflation rate. So the next is from tradingeconomics.com for the United States inflation rate. And we can see here that a year ago in December of 2022, it was 6.5%. It's now down for November of 2023, it was down to 3.1%. Now, of course, that's stacked on top of the previous year's growth, but still, it's nice to see that inflation rate just starting to stabilize here and stay low. So we've had 2 months now where it's dropped down. In October, it was 3.2%, November, 3.1%, and hopefully that maintains here in December and onward. I know that the Federal Reserve the other day made mention that they're not changing rates, and the market responded at the publicly traded market with the Dow Jones Industrial Average and S&P 500 rising pretty substantially the last few days here. So this is the U.S. inflation rate. Okay, the next thing I want to take a look at here is the Index of Consumer Sentiment produced by the University of Michigan. This is their 10-year trend. The dotted line, if you're looking at this, live or on a recording, is the monthly data points. And then the blue line is a 3-month moving average. So it kind of helps smooth out what some of those ups and downs look like month to month. But as you can see here, we are zigging up for November and into December here. So just a steady trend up from about mid 2022. There's been some zigzags, but it's you can see there's a pretty clear trend line that's showing that consumer sentiment is increasing from the bottom where it had been about a year and a half or so ago. So all things considered, it's not up to where it was even in mid 2021 or pre-COVID, but it is on its way. It's trending in that direction. So just some information and things to be thinking about there. Okay, next up, we're going to take a look at the new number of new business applications. Just as a reminder for you, this now, unfortunately, the newest report is not published until December. It's actually published on Monday for this report, but this is showing you the data for October, which shows that there were 472,993 new businesses started in October. And we've seen this trend of over 400,000 new business startups consistent for 2 years at this point, 2+ years, which is just incredible because that's more than a 50% increase of where it was in early in 2019 and into early 2020. So you see this huge surge if you're looking at this on my screen. And what I like to point out about this, if you're anyone in franchising, touching franchise sales, or just franchising anywhere in your process, what's important to note about this is there are a lot of people starting businesses. And to me, what this means to you as a franchise sales professional and franchise marketer is that the general American populace has new business startup and entrepreneurship on their mind. It is on their mind. So it's not a question of if they want to start a business, they do. So making sure you are communicating how your franchise system provides them that opportunity to be their own boss and start their own business and control their own destiny with support in business for themselves, but not by themselves. And so I think those are important distinctions to be making. As in my opinion, I think that the general populace, based off of this information, they are really serious about wanting to start a business and get that moving. Okay. Next report here. This is the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Small Business Index score. This is for Q4 of 2024. They've been running this since Q1 of 2020. And what you can see here is this is the Small Business Index score, and it dropped pretty substantially from Q3 to Q4 here. Q4 is showing 61.3. Q3 of this year was at 69.2. Q2 was at 63.1, and Q1 was at 60.1. So or 60.0. So we started the year at 60.0. It rose up pretty high to almost 10 points to 69.2, or just over 9 points, I should say. And then it dropped back down to 61.3. So we still started higher or ended higher than where we started, but we had a big boom in Q3, and it looks like it slowed down here. So here's a quick highlight from this. And let's see, according to the polls taken between October 5th to the 24th, 2023, 25% of small businesses say the U.S. economy is in good health, and 30% say their local economy is in good health, both down 8 percentage points since last quarter. While optimism about future revenue expectations is widespread, there has been a softening of this measure too. Almost 2/3, 65% of small businesses expect revenue to increase next year, down from a record high of 71% expecting the same over the last 2 quarters. So still a strong number. About 2 out of 3 business owners are thinking that they're expecting revenue to be up next year. But that number has dropped slightly, where it was at a peak of 71%. So what does that mean? Well, the sentiment of the small business owner, they're optimistic that it's still going to grow next year, but it's softening just a little bit. There may be, again, just some uncertainties about what to expect there. Okay, let's go ahead now and get into some additional small business data and franchise data. So this is the Franchise Insights Small Business Startup Sentiment Index. I really like what they put together. FranchiseInsights.com has prepared this for several years now. And it shows some trends in what is the overall sentiment of the small business owner or startup business owner. And as you can see here, it says 67.2% of respondents agree that now is a good time for a startup, that right now is. And that's the highest number since it's the highest number of the year. And it's the highest number since about, it looks like June or it looks like since June or July of 2022. So it's the highest number in about a year and a half. So that is good. So it says this continuing trend in entrepreneurial optimism parallels the ongoing surge in new business applications since September of 2020, as reported by the U.S. Census Bureau. Which, by the way, I forgot to mention that the new business applications, that's from the U.S. Census Bureau. If you didn't read it on the screen, that's from that report here. So I'm going to scroll down and share. Let's take a look here. 24.9% of the respondents to the Small Business Startup Sentiment Index said that their time frame to open a new business is next month. So you see 29.4% said next month, 27.4% said in the next 2 weeks. So that means next 2 to 3 months. So that means more than half of all of the franchise buyers you're talking to, about 56 or 57% of them, are likely to have a sentiment of wanting to start and get the business going within the next 2 or 3 months, this month or the next 2 or 3 months. Okay, that means that the other 43%, they're thinking 4 months and beyond. So just to keep that in mind as you're sorting through and weighing that out. So the majority have right in the very near term, this next 3-month window, that they want to get things going. So make sure you have that sense of urgency when you're talking to people about buying your franchise or the franchise that you're showing them if you're a franchise broker. Okay, so let's take a look now. I really like this, where they ask the budding entrepreneurs, what's the biggest factor in you getting this started? What's the biggest factor in you starting your business? And they said for the number one factor by far, for this most recent month here, they said that 70.1% said that funding or access to credit is the number one concern, that is the concern that they have. 70.1, that means 7 out of 10 have concerns about funding, which means if as a franchisor, if there's any kind of funding access you can provide, whether it's in-house funding, third-party lenders, strategic relationships. Maybe there are some investors or individual investors or potential partners that might want to support the franchisees. Any solutions that you can offer, and probably the more solutions you can offer to provide your franchisees with some funding options to help them get the franchise up and running, that is likely going to be a big help and support to your system. The second highest category is economic climate, which shot up a little bit here from last month. It's now 43.3% say that the economic climate is of concern. And then the third highest category is political changes at 16.4%. So you can see that, and then everything else is under that. So you can see the number one is funding or access to credit, and then a big drop to the second concern of economic climate, 43.3%, and then a big drop from the second biggest, most concerning item to the third most concerning item. So if you're wondering what are people thinking about, it's likely funding, having access to it, the economic climate, and political changes. And really, as I look at this, those first two. And so make sure you have some options or solutions and ideas on how to address those and support your franchisees with those, or franchisee candidates. Okay, let's take a look at, let's see. Okay, let's take just a look at the age of the candidates coming in. And you can see here that 28.4% of new business startup folks are, it looks like, baby boomers. 55.2% are Gen X. It shows 10.4% millennial, which was a big drop because it was 26% for millennials last month, and it's been over 20%. So that's an interesting, that's a pretty big change from the prior month's survey. And then Gen Z is it's actually hard to read. It looks like about 4%. It looks like Gen Z is. So that's it for the small business startup sentiment index. Okay, the next report from franchiseinsights.com is what are they asked aspiring franchisees to rank the personal strengths that they have in starting and growing a successful franchise. And so what the franchise prospect said in rank order here, their top three categories. Number one was grit or persistence towards a goal despite obstacles. 58.8% of them said that is one of their strengths. The second greatest strength is a willingness to follow a proven system at 53.9%. And team leadership experience was number three at 52.9%. So this is how prospective franchisees are self-rating themselves, which means hopefully grit is awesome when you're starting a new business, right? As a franchisor, you want to know that people are coming in with that mindset of persistence. And number two, a willingness to follow a system. So these are great indicators for franchisors to show that candidates are thinking about this, it looks like, and that they do have these key skills and focus on their mind. Okay, next up from franchiseinsights.com, it says, as credit tightens, aspiring franchisees rely most on personal savings for business startups. So you might be asking, how are franchisees funding the deals that are happening? Well, here we have it. 44.8% are using personal savings. 40% say they're going to use the SBA or small business loans. 4.3% said that some other type of loan, maybe a bank or other type of loan. And then it drops pretty substantially from there down to a partner, friends and family, retirement savings, in-house financing, other options. But you can see personal savings, SBA loans, and other types of banks or loan providers. Those are the top three of how aspiring franchisees are thinking about this. So make sure again, I know I said this before for the finance, but if you don't have a solution to help support these franchisees in place, I suggest you get one. And even if you do have a solution, I would review it and see if you can complement it with maybe a couple others that can help them out. All right. So we're going to take a look at the over the a rolling 90 days, the total number of inquiries. Now this says business opportunity categories, but when I've looked at the data before, these are all the categories that have been in franchising every month up until I think it was last month. Then this switched over to um, business opportunities. So I think there may have been a glitch or something here over at franchiseinsights.com. So currently it shows that home services are accounting for over 30% of all franchise leads. That's very, very high number. Cleaning and maintenance is accounting for 11.8%, senior and healthcare 11.1%, business services at 9.7%, food and restaurant at 9.3%. So those are your top five. And then the rounding out the top 10 is financial services at 4.6%, real estate at 4.3%, education at 3.7%, child related at 3.4%, and pet services at 3.1%. So if you're in one of these top 10 categories, chances are it's going to be easier for you to find leads through various franchise portals and lead gen sites. So just know if you're in a category like this that it does make it a little easier. If you're not, it's not that it's impossible. It's just that it may take you may need to try a bunch of different sources to try to find that out. Okay. Now, our last slide here is just to show a deal that was done December 7th, 2023, of just the merger and acquisition deal. This is boxwoodpartners.com on their news section. And it says Boxwood Partners advises the brothers that just do gutters, also known as Brothers Gutters, on sale to Evive Brands, a portfolio company of the Riverside Company. So it just shows that merger and acquisition deals are happening. Last month, I showed there were one, two, three deals that were done as well. So just some additional information to show you that these deals are happening and that they are out there for a potential exit. So that's our overview and episode. I'd love to open this up for anyone who's still attending. If you had any questions, feel free to raise your hand or ask to be on mute or type it into a chat or Q&A, and I can go ahead and unmute you so you can ask your question. Okay, well, I'm not seeing anything come through, so I'd just like to thank you all for joining us again, and just want to wish everyone the happiest of holidays. Today's the last day, I believe, of Hanukkah, so happy Hanukkah, and upcoming Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year. I will see you in 2024. So thank you all so much for being here. Have a great day, and we look forward to seeing you in 2024. Have a fun and safe celebration with your family and loved ones as you close out the new year.